Alright, let's take a look at our lesson 2-8, which is solving two-steps equations. So far we've only been doing one-step equations. Well, today we're going to learn how to solve two-step equations. Let's take a look at our examples here. If you notice, all of them have more than the one number that we're using. You'll see that that's not that big of a deal. So let's take a look at our first example. Alright, our first example here says x over negative 9 minus 3 equals 10. Well, again, on this one, I'm going to start with my balance beam, because I always start with my balance beam whenever I'm solving equations. Now, whenever I'm solving these that have multiple steps, if you notice, I have several things on this side of my equal sign over here. Okay, and whenever I'm looking at these, what I need to do first is I need to decide what number is the farthest away from the variable, which in this instance, the number that has the least to do with the variable is going to be the minus 3. So I need to get rid of that first. So I'm going to have to add 3 to both sides. So my 3's cancel each other out, which leaves me with x over negative 9 equals 10 plus 3 is 13. Okay, look at that. I'm already halfway done. Now, I'm going to draw my balance beam again. Now I need to get rid of this. Remember, this x over 9 means divided by x divided by negative 9, so I need to multiply times my negative 9 on both sides. So let's cancel out my negative 9's there, which leaves me with x equals 13 times negative 9, which is going to be, I really don't know. Let's look. 3 times 9 is 27. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 2 is 11. And since my signs were different over here, remember it's going to be negative 117. And that's my answer right there. Not too terribly difficult. Alright, let's take a look at our next one. Alright, again, this one says 7y plus 25 equals negative 24. First thing I have to do is draw my balance beam. And again, the first thing I have to do is eliminate all the numbers that do not touch the variable. So the first thing I'm going to have to do is get rid of this plus 25. So to do that, I'm going to have to subtract 25 from both sides. My 25's cancel each other out there, which leaves me with 7y equals, now if you notice I have negative 24 minus 25, which remember, subtracting 25 is the same thing as saying plus negative 25, and since our signs are both the same on those, I can go ahead and add those up. 25 plus 24, which is going to give me negative 49. Okay, now again, I'll draw my balance beam. Have an equal sign there. Okay, now, this over here says 7 times y, so I have to undo that multiplication. So I'm going to have to divide both sides by 7. My 7's cancel, which leaves me with y equals, alright, so I have negative 49 divided by 7, which 7 goes into 49 7 times, and since the signs are different, it has to be negative 7. Okay? Now, if you want to check this, we certainly can check these if you want. Take your answer down here that we got for y and substitute it back into your equation. So I could do like 7 parentheses 7, 7 times 7, plus 25, and see what we get. Well, I guess it should be negative 7, sorry. Well, 7 times negative 7 is negative 49, plus 25 gives you, since my signs are the same, I have to subtract, or excuse me, since my signs are different, I have to subtract, which gives you negative 24. So I know that that is the correct answer. Anytime you don't think you're right, well, check your answer, see if you are. That's the best way to know if you got it right or wrong. Alright, let's take a look at our next one. Alright, first thing I have to do, anyone? You know what it is, draw the balance beam. Okay, this equation looks backwards, but it's really no different than any of those we've been working on. So the first thing I have to do, again, is eliminate the number that's not touching the variable. So I'm going to have to get rid of this plus 13.4. So we have to subtract 13.4 from both sides. So my 13.4's cancel, which leaves you with negative 3.5x equals, well, remember, I'm subtracting 13.4, which would be the same thing as adding a negative, so I'm going to go ahead and switch that to a plus negative. Since my signs are the same, that means I have to add them up, line my decimals up here. They're already lined up, so now I add. 3 plus 4 is 7. Bring my decimal down. 3 plus 8 is 11. 1 plus 1 is 2. And that is negative, so it's negative 21.7 equals negative 3.5x. Now, we know the next thing we have to do is draw our balance beam again. Now we're going to have to get rid of this negative 3.5. Well, we know to get that 3.5x means multiply, so we have to divide by 3.5, actually negative 3.5, I guess, by both sides. So my 3.5's cancel, which leaves you with just x equals, I don't know what this is when we divide this out, so I'm going to bring it out over here. So I'm going to have 21.7 divided by 3.5. Now, remember our rules over here. We have to do our over, up. Okay, so because we're dividing, remember we have to move that over, and then move it straight up. So there's my decimal right there. Now, how many times does 35 go into 217? Well, I'm not really sure. I know that, let's see what we get here. Let me see. Let's try 6. Let's see what we get if we do 6 here. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 3 is 18, 19, 20, 21. That gives me 210, which is pretty close. I'll subtract, bring down my 7. Alright, I have to drop down my 0. 35 goes into 72 times, and that gives us our 70, so we're done there. And again, don't forget, over here, our two signs were the same. We have negative 3.5 and negative 21.7. That means, since our signs were the same, my answer has to be positive, so we're going to get 6.2. Alright, that one is a little bit more difficult because we were dividing by decimals, but again, nothing terrible. Alright, let's move on to our last example. Alright, our last example looks hard, but it's not too bad. Again, first thing we're going to do, you guessed it, balance beam. Okay, now the first thing I'm going to have to do to this guy right here is actually we're going to have to get rid of this divided by 11 right here. Okay, if you notice, we have y plus 5 divided by 11. Well, the y is adding the 5, the 11 is actually the first thing from there, so we need to get rid of that 11 divided by 11 first. So we're going to have to multiply times 11, both sides. So my 11's cancel, which leaves you just y plus 5 equals, well, we know that 3 times 11 is 33. Okay, good. Now let's do our next balance beam here. We know we're going to have to get rid of plus 5. Well, we know to get rid of plus 5, we have to subtract 5. My 5's cancel, which leaves you with just y equals 33 minus 5 is 28. And that's our answer. And again, this one was kind of tough just by looking at it, but let's double check it. Let's substitute my 28 into my equation up here. Let's say 28 plus 5 all over 11. Well, what does 28 plus 5 equal? Well, 28 plus 5 equals 33 over 11. Well, what is 33 divided by 11 equal? Well, that equals 3. So we know we got it correct, so 28 is our correct answer. Alright, great. Remember, just do these step by step. You won't have any problems. All right, good luck.